I've tried a lot of nymphs over the years, but this one just sticks.
Get off! Get off.
Today you're getting one of those go-to flies that has been around for years and a slight tweak that has made this one even better.
Smooth, sticky, nice.
Today we've got Steve from Smitty's Fly Box on. He's going to walk you through one of his go-to patterns, the Gunslinger. In this video, you're going to see exactly how to tie it step by step from the bead to the wire to the building a clean and segmented body. All the steps today, you're going to get a behind the scenes look at one of the best flies out there, the Gunslinger. But before we get into it, I just want to give you a shout out that if you want a chance to win Wet Fly Swing Pro this week, every week we give out one free membership to Wet Fly Swing Pro over a $300 value. What you need to do right now is subscribe, leave a comment, and like this video, and you're going to get a chance to win Wet Fly Swing Pro, and you can be one of the great winners from this show. Also want to let you know that we are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, and if you can, please subscribe so you can get us to 5,000. That's our next checkpoint, and then we're going to 5 million. All right, let's get into it. Let's get this one started and see what Steve has to offer. Let's check it out right now.
Hey everybody, this is Steve with Smitty's Fly Box. We're going to tie a Gunslinger today. This is my favorite nymph. It's kind of a mashup between a hare's ear and a pheasant tail, but it's been an effective nymph I've been using for a long time now, and so I'm glad to share it with you. So I'm just using a scud hook. This is a Daiichi scud hook with a brass bead. This particular size I'm using is a size 12 with a 3.2 millimeter brass bead. You can tie them all the way down to size 18s or 20s. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tie in some wire. This is just small copper wire, and I'm just laying it along the side of the hook shank all the way down to our tie-in point. Then I'm going to tie in a pheasant tail. So basically just try to get yourself a little clump, good little clump, maybe a dozen of those fibers, and snip it off as close to the stem as you can get. So I'm just going to try to, in my hands there, just try to even up those tips as best I can. And then I want the tail to be about half of the length of the hook shank. So once I have that measurement with my right hand, I'm just going to transfer it to my left hand and tie that in with just a couple of good wraps right there at that tie-in point. And then I'm not going to snip off that excess. I'm going to actually use that. So just pull that back and advance your thread up the hook shank. Now we can begin wrapping the abdomen of the fly with this pheasant. And that'll create just a nice looking abdomen. Basically, we're just tying a pheasant tail right now is what we're doing. So I'm just making nice even wraps. Once I get to the halfway point or just past halfway, I can hold those fibers straight up in the air and drop my thread over with my left hand about 3 times and just tie down that pheasant. We can snip off the excess. I might make a few more turns there just to kind of cover up those trimmed butts. Now we're ready to wrap the wire. I'm going to counter wrap the wire, so I'm going to come in the opposite direction over the top towards me and just work my way forward, making nice even wraps, good tight wraps, and space them out evenly. This kind of mimics that segmented abdomen that most nymphs have. And once I reach that halfway point or just past halfway, I'll just take my thread over and capture that and tie that down, and then I can trim off the excess. All right, now that I'm ready for the thorax section of the fly now, so the back half is done. For the wing case, I'm going to use thin skin in a mottled look. Really, the color doesn't matter too much, but I'm going to just snip off a little section, maybe an inch or a ½ inch long. And the important part is the width of this thin skin. So I want it to be about the same width as the bead. That's my measurement. Once I peel that paper off, it'll kind of curve in one direction, and I tie it in so it curves upwards. And just tie that in. Make sure it's tied in at that halfway point, because we're going to pull that over in just a minute. I'm ready to dub the body, so I'm just using regular old hare's ear dubbing. You can use really any dubbing you want. In fact, in the box this month, I'm going to send you another color, more of a golden stone color, so you can mix it up if you'd like. But we're just going to add a little tiny bit of dubbing and just get it started. So really just kind of start with like a ball right there. Looks like I got a little too much, so I'm actually going to remove a little bit here. Now once I've got that first section of dubbing done, I'm just going to take one strand of black crystal flash and tie that on the near side of the hook so it V's towards me, and just make a couple of good solid wraps in between those legs. And I'm going to actually repeat that step on the opposite side. So we're just creating the legs on the fly. So they may not lay just perfectly, but just try to get them in position, and we'll dub around them, and that'll get them how we like them. This is also a good spot to put a little head cement or a little drop of super glue to make it a little more durable. But now I can just continue dubbing around. So I'm going to just add a little dubbing and just make a couple of turns in between the legs, and just building that dubbing up to about the same width as the bead. Just working my way. And then I'm going to add some dubbing in front of the legs. So we'll pull those legs back out of the way and make some good wraps right up in front. Good tight wraps to fill in that gap, that space behind the bead. And also get those legs laying how we want. So again, it's always a little better to just add dubbing as you go, as opposed to trying to take some off. But that looks pretty good right there. I'm going to add just a little more just to tighten up right behind the bead. And we should be in pretty good shape right there. All right, now we're ready to pull that wing case over. So we'll just pull it tightly. And you can slightly stretch it if you need to. And just drop your thread over. Make sure that thread bites down into that thin skin just behind the bead. Make 3 or 4 good turns there, and so that'll tighten that down. Now we can trim off the excess. I like to just come straight across right on top of the bead. You may have a little extra sticking out there in front. I don't worry about that too much. We'll just make a little tight collar and do our whip finish right there on top. Now another good thing, what we'll do is we'll trim down these legs how we like them, and kind of get those positioned how we'd like them. Trim both sides, and then I always like to put a drop of super glue right on top, or even better if you have some UV glue, put over the wing case and add a little UV. That gives it a nice look and makes it a little more durable. But this has been a really good fly for me, kind of my confidence nymph that I will use pretty much anywhere. And so I hope you enjoy. I hope you can fill your box up with a bunch of these and catch a bunch of fish.